Hello, everyone. Welcome to Microsoft Reactor. Thank you for joining us from whichever part of the world you are currently joining this live stream. It's a pleasure being here with you all. And like every other session we have on Microsoft Reactor, this session is going to be amazing. A few things to take note of is Microsoft's Reactor's code of conduct. While on this live event, please ensure that your statements and your comments are such that encourage others. At Microsoft, our goal is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And so we want to ensure that our words, the way we behave on this stream are acceptable. Ensure that you understand other people, you are able to utilize the right words and ensure that your statements are welcoming. A little bit of introduction into today's series. It's called MLSA Coffee and Tea Chat. MLSA standing for Microsoft Listening Ambassador. It's an amazing new series led by Sophia, who is a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and she's working alongside other Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors to help students and those who are starting off their career in technology to have an idea of what it's like in the different career paths, what a day in the life of professionals in the different career paths looks like. In this series, we'll be having 5 sessions, and each of these sessions will cover each of the career paths we have in technology, while in future series, we'll be covering other career paths. Our first session in the series, which is this, would cover what a day in the life of a data analyst looks like. And at the end of each series, we'll give you links to learning resources. And then in subsequent series or sessions in the series, we'll learn what a day in the life of a cloud advocate at Microsoft looks like, a product designer, a data scientist, and of course, a low code developer. Each of these series would feature amazing professionals in the industry who are giving their all and have gone a long way to build a successful career in each of these career paths. In this session, we will be talking about the data analyst career path. To moderate this amazing series, I have Nehemiah, who is an amazing Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador from Nigeria. Nehemiah, would you like to say hi to everyone currently on this stream?
Yeah. Hi everyone.
Great. We'd love to meet you, Nehemiah.
All right. First, my name is Nehemiah Emmanuel. I'm a better Microsoft President Ambassador at Nnamdi University in Nigeria. On the side, I am a backend software engineer. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Thank you very much for being on this stream with me. Thank you for accompanying me on this. Now, for this session, we have two amazing speakers, and we'll head on to do an introduction of these amazing fellows. First, we have Adewale Yusuf, who is a Microsoft MVP. He is a data analyst and he helps organizations to build amazing data solutions with data. He has 5 years of experience providing business intelligence solutions to clients across the world. Adewale Yusuf has detailed knowledge in data warehousing, data mapping, data analytics, data visualization, as well as process validation and business needs analysis. He's an amazing community member and has been building different communities to help people who are interested in exploring the data analysis career path. For David, he is a cloud advocate at Microsoft focused on Microsoft's Power BI. I've known David for a very long time, and for this long, he has been helping lots of people to learn about data analysis and build great projects with data analysis. He is a business intelligence associate with comprehensive acknowledgement applying visualizations, data modeling, data structuring, and data analytics to ensure success and to help organizations to achieve their goals. At this point, I'll bring on our amazing speakers just to say hi to everyone. Hi, David.
Hi, hi everyone.
Great.
Thank you for bringing me up stage.
And thank you for freeing up some time to share your experience and insights with us. We also have Adewale Yusuf. Hi, Mr. Yusuf.
Hi everyone. Nice to have you here and nice to be here. How are we all
Ah,
doing today?
doing
Very
good.
well from my end.
Sorry, the event
Great.
caught me on the road. I have to park and just make sure I attend to this event. So sorry.
Yeah, sure. We appreciate you making our time to be on this stream. So let's head over to the questions. I'll take the first question, and this question would start off with Mr. David, and then we'll head over to actually the same question, um, Mr. Wale. So the first question for you, David, is tell us about your experience in data analysis.
So majorly my experience in data analysis has to do with finding importance insight from the data. And one thing there is that data analysis can be so many things. People always think that there has to be a dashboard at the end of it. VLOOKUP is even data analysis because you need to analyze some little things of people's name, people's let's say salary. You want to get in salary from another person. So you're doing some data. You're doing some plus and minus. So imagine you're doing like if you have a monthly Excel sheet where you put your finances, that data where you say, oh, I'm going to send in, I'm going to put in this money for internet, this money for. So all these things are just data analysis. But professionally is that I started doing data analysis when in 2018 when we needed to start sending invoice to companies, and I have to create automated invoice to be able to bring out the different calculations that needs to be done for any vendor, and also bring out the total amount and every other things like that. So we need to run some data, some multiplication, some additions, and from there it grew to doing big projects within my former company called Dibra Consulting, and we started doing things for different companies, running some projects for them, and also teaching because before you teach, you have to know. So you have to start doing all those things. So those are my experience in data analysis.
Great. Thank you very much, David. I actually love the way you transitioned. Working on projects really helps you a whole lot to become a professional data analyst that you are now. Working cloud advocate, not just a data analyst this time, but a cloud advocate at amazing companies like Microsoft. Let's hear Mr. Yusuf's experience. So over to you, Mr. Yusuf. Tell us about your experience in data analysis.
Okay. So for me, I think I started from let's say learning Excel almost 7 years ago. I started learning Excel because I want to transit into data analysis. So I started putting that together. If anybody remember SPSS here, we did that in school where you are trying to create some findings on your project. So most of us use XPSS. So the first time I used XPSS then in school, about almost 8 or 9 years ago, I kind of fall in love with the kind of analysis they can do. But I don't really want to deep dive into the SPSS itself. I said, okay, let me start learning Excel. So I was learning Excel small, small, learning all these things small, small. I thought I knew Excel then because I can actually do some, can't, and all those things until I joined the company where I am now called Deep Brand Consulting. I found out that Excel can do way beyond what people think it can. So I started my experience in Excel. So after learning Excel to some extent, then I transit into other tools like Power BI, SQL, and even I even learned some Python as well. So over 5, 6 years now, I've been able to develop my skills in terms of using Excel, using Power BI, using Azure Synapse, using a lot of Microsoft product to be able to bring out insight from data. And over the years, I've seen a lot in the community, a lot in the world. Although I've worked with a lot of clients both in Nigeria and also abroad, I've worked on over, let me say, close to 90 or 100 projects that we've deployed on data analysis. And I've seen a lot of people in the community as well that have grown to the extent of learning this data analytics and how they can improve on how to analyze data. So for me, my experience basically is I fall in love with numbers and I feel number is my thing. So, and I keep doing it till now. Even though now I don't currently do much of technical work again, I do much of supervision and all that. So I'm like a salesperson now. So I'm on the road trying to get project for my people and give them the project to do it. So that's it for me.
Beautiful. Something I actually picked from your story is small beginnings matter a whole lot, and a journey of 1,000 steps begins with just one step. Great to see the amazing growth. Now, something that has been very important, especially for those in the data analysis field, is data privacy, data security, and data compliance. So, the next question that I'll be asking for Mr. Yusuf and David, first for David, is how do you ensure as a data analyst that you have your data, you deal with things like data privacy, data security, and data compliance?
So, quick thing there is that as a data professional, um, when you're working, it depends. So, for me, that has experience working, let's say, with a bank project, I remembered while I was at Debra, I and Wally worked with a bank project there. And one of the things you have to understand about data privacy is that most of the bank will give you access to the only things that you need for your project. That is the real truth. And also is that coming in also into, let's say you are an in-house data analyst, you have to be sure of the different privacy methodology or framework that you guys have put together within the company. What are the data that people needs to see? What are the ones that people don't need to see? As a data analyst, what are the things that is open for people to see? What are the things that is not open? So that is the major thing. So when working as a data analyst, you're trying to create insights. Another thing that also you want to look at is that for the different type of consumers, now in the sense of consumer, let's call it audience, that your report is going out to, which person should see this level of data set or should see this level of report, and which person doesn't need to see this level of report. So these are also things that you need to look out for. Also, data governance has to do with you, with your own company understanding how you guys work with data. What are the strategies for data governance within the company? So privacy can go from organization level to primary level, which is you, to individual level. So a company putting the whole structure down to say, okay, these are the type of data that goes from point A to point B, point C to point D, and also putting metric to say this is too sensitive to go out, this is not too sensitive to go out. All these things are things that I, as a data analyst, look at and say, okay, this is a data set, which is data set that needs a public view, which data set does not need a public view. So when you are able to determine that, you have to find a way to work around what are the things that are important for people to see and which is not important for people to see.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing all of these insights. Just as a reminder to everyone joining this live stream, remember that you can always include your questions in the comment section. And after looking to get at all of these questions we have prepared, we would go over through the comment section and see questions that we would be able to take. Now, let's hear from Mr. Yusuf. For you, how do you ensure data privacy, data security, and data compliance?
Okay, so security is actually a major thing when it comes to data analysis and this profession that we have. Security is very key. Data security is very key. And a lot of organizations have been complaining about data breach, people putting out data, people just putting out data out there anyhow they like, or even a data analyst or whoever is preparing a report don't know how to put an appropriate security on data. And for a data analyst, when we talk about security in data analytics, it is very critical. And it has to do with confidentiality, the integrity of the data, the availability of the data, the authenticity of data, and even maybe the way you kind of give access to data for people. And when we are talking about confidentiality, say for example, you were given access to a data set of let me say financials of a company, right? As a data analyst, you've analyzed this financial statement, and you know in this financial statement there are some reports that some executive need to see, and there are some reports that some ordinary staff just need to see. So because some things are private, you don't need to show the staff what the executives are supposed to see. So sometimes in Power BI we have something called role level security, and we have something called object level security. So you can kind of do some kind of security to say, okay, so this is the data set I want you to see, and this is the data set I want these specific people to see. So you do a role level security. We can kind of do an object level security to something like, okay, so let me make sure that this table, this person has access to this table. Let's say in the company, I'm doing like an executive summary report, I'm doing a sales report, HR report, finance report, and I'm kind of giving each department access to what they need to see. So when you are giving each department access to what they need to see, then you are setting up an object level security to say this is what you should see. This is what you should see. So confidentiality is very important. Another thing that is very important in data is integrity, because there is no way we can talk about security and we'll not talk about integrity of the data. I've heard about the story of a guy that got sacked because of data integrity, because he went ahead and tell this company they've make money more than they've been making, so they jubilate, they went to party and all that. At the end of the day, the finance question him that, where did you get this number from? So after looking at the number thoroughly, they find out that the integrity of this data is not accurate. So they need to kind of investigate that. This guy got sacked because they don't have a good integrity when it comes to data. So as a data analyst, you must ensure integrity of your data by doing a proper cleanup, right? Look at this data, do a proper mapping. Whatever they give you, look at it very well. It will help you be confident about data. And there's no way we can also talk about security without talking about availability and authenticity. So if you are storing your data in SQL, for example, or you are storing it in even ordinary SharePoint, there has to be an authentication, right? Authentication is very key. There are some organizations that you work with that they won't allow you to work on your local machine. They rather set up a virtual machine for you. And on that virtual machine, they will be able to control their data set. They know no data is coming out from that particular machine out to another machine. So authentication is extremely important. So you must set up an authentication, whether you are using SQL, you should use an OA2H authentication or whatever. Then availability. Is the data even available? Do you even know how to gather the data? Do you know how to secure it? So data security and governance is very key for any organizations to think very well before they embark on the way they put their data out there. And as a data analyst, you must ensure that you kind of make sure that the data is also secured.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf, for responding to that question. For our next question, I'll pass it over to Nehemiah. And this question would be for Mr. David. Nehemiah,
Hi, Mr. David. So we've been talking about data analysis, especially the title itself comes from data analyst. And I want to ask, in data analysis, how do you gather, clean, and then organize the data analysis?
Okay, so thanks for the question. One thing there is that for data, gathering, depending on where, which side or which company you work for. There are some times that you don't need to gather the data, times that is already stored in a location for you. So depending on how you work, gathering is you sourcing for where the data is coming in from. So if it's coming in from any data warehouse, that is where it is. So that is where you want to gather them from. So cleaning is you trying to take this data to be able to use them in a way that you can use that you can actually analyze them for your report. So when you are trying to clean a data set, you can use different tools to clean data sets. But at this point, we are going to say that we are using Power Query to clean. So for those who use Power BI or Excel, so you're trying to clean or transform that data set. So when you're trying to transform the data set, the major thing that you're looking at is making sure that those things that you've gathered, you will be able to transform them in a way that is used for data analysis. And organize, same thing. We are trying to clean, organize them, transform them in a way whereby when you take it outside of your Power Query, or you're done cleaning them, when you want to start analyzing, you are able to analyze. So for me, how do I do that? So let's assume I have my data set in a SQL Server. So you have your SQL. The major thing that you want to look at is that, oh, this data set is in SQL. So how do I get it into my Power BI? So when I get into Power BI, I start to clean and organize this data. Clean and organize is where Power Query comes in. I clean the data set in a format that I can use for analysis. Just not cleaning just because I need to clean. I'm cleaning in the format that I have to use for my analysis. So when I'm done with that, I can start doing some reporting on it. Yeah. So that is how I gather, clean, and organize data.
All right. Thank you. So I guess that's data can be gotten from many
Your
sources.
voice is low.
Oh, sorry. So I get that data can be gotten from many sources. You mentioned the data warehouse and SQL server. The SQL sheet one of them.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, yes. So for the next question, it would be for Mr. Adewale Yusuf. And a lot of times, for those starting off their career, they we definitely understand that no matter how good you are, there would always be challenges. So this question, Mr. Yusuf, can you give us an example of a particular challenging data analysis project that you have worked on? And then you could tell us how you were able to overcome the obstacles in that project.
Okay, I think I'll mention two actually. So the first one, if I remember, I don't want to mention the client's name. One of the most biggest challenge that we have is something called miscoping. Miscoping, right? When we are collecting the project or when we are talking to the client and we are trying to get this project from client, we did not scope this project very well, that this is how this project is going to be, this is how this is the number of reports you required, these are the kind of reports you require, this is what you need, right? So we misscope the project. So at the end of the day, this project started dragging for a year, a month, to the extent that the client is not happy, and it seems like we, the data analysts, we are the one that is not doing our job, right? The client was like, I gave you this thing for over 1 year, blah blah blah. So the requests keep coming every day and the scope keep changing. So that's a big problem for us. So the way we resolved this, the way I resolved this particular one is that we just called the client and I was like, okay, I would like to become your staff for, I'm in the consulting space. So I would like to become your staff for 2 weeks. So I was going to the client office for almost 2 weeks. In the morning, I'll go there in the morning. I'll I'll leave there in the afternoon, right? Just to kind of sit down with this client and understand what the problem is, understand their data very well. One of the things I also saw when I now met the client is the domain knowledge, right? Domain knowledge is important, but if you're into a data analytics, right, or data analysis, you need to understand the frameworks. You need to understand the standards. So this is how I analyze data. But you also need to learn a little bit of the domain knowledge, because if you don't learn that domain knowledge, it's going to affect whatever you are doing. Let's say you are building a report for an FMCG. You need to understand how FMCG data works. You are building a report for earth or insurance space. So you need to understand, you need to have a little bit of domain knowledge. So that is why, as a data analyst, you don't just stop on me learning Power BI or you learning Excel. If you are working on a project, try as much as possible as well to make some research, learn some domain knowledge of whatever data you are working on. I've also collected a project on HR analytics, right? And this particular HR, I don't have any idea about HR analytics. And I started learning everything about HR in 2 months. I enroll myself on different courses on HR so that I can understand the domain knowledge of HR. The other challenges is the challenge of me building a report for someone, and after finishing the report, this client throw the report back to me saying that the colors are too boring, that I use a boring color. That why did I use black and white? Black and white. She wants red, green, blue, yellow, purple, orange. She don't want. She just want me to do plain secondary color for her, right? But the way I manage that is I sat her down. This person is a very senior person. I sat her down and I was like, Ma, I understand you like color because you're a woman. Women like different colors, right? But sometimes the color is not what is very important. The insight you are getting from this data is what is very important. And I kind of make her understand that. So those are the challenges I think I faced, just to mention few.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing all of those with us. Now, for the next question, this would be for David. And we would love to ask David, tell us about your experience. By the way, something I learned from your experience and your story is that you should have domain knowledge of whatever reports you are trying to create to give you or to help you have better insights. Okay, great. So let me pass this on to David next. Please tell us about your experience with data visualization and data and reporting.
Okay, so data visualization and reporting, that is a very big topic on its own. But before you go into data visualization and reporting, the first question is that what is my audience looking for? And you can see when Adewale Yusuf was talking about how the woman was saying that, hey, put this color here, put this color here. And we always have that, which is that, oh, some people will tell you that, I saw a visualization on TV like this. Can't you recreate it into like this? They will just give you the different things that they want. Some will tell you that I can do this finance reporting in Excel and I'll build it this way. Can't you do it that way like that in Power BI? So some can tell you that, oh, after you finish building this, can I export to Excel? So one thing there is that you need to understand who is my target audience. What do they really want? You don't go into reporting and visualization without understanding what they want. And also is that when you understand the list of things they want from their data set, the next question you want to ask is now, okay, fine. How do I go about producing these KPIs or these answers that they need? After that, that is when you start going in depth into giving them different type of analysis and reporting that you might look. I might not want to give you a very good detailed, but when you have the question of when a company says, oh, I have a finance data, let's go to finance, since I don't want to start with a finance angle. So when we say we have a finance data, and you need to understand the domain knowledge. You need to understand the different things that gets back to the revenue and all these things like that. When you have that, the next question you want to ask is, how do I visualize? What is the best tool to make me visualize this tool? So if you're using your Power BI, the next thing is that what are my visuals that can help me? My card visuals, my matrix, all these things, my table, the tax calculations that I need to know and to calculate, because these people that are coming, they already have a system that gives them this report. They just want you to replicate it into Power BI. For some that don't have a system, then you are even okay, because one thing is that you're just bringing in your fresh ideas into it. But if people have their own already, then you have to look at what they've done, you have to look at how they calculate it, then you have to try and reproduce it first into Power BI. When you produce first into Power BI, you show them. So which means that what they have before now, they now have it in Power BI. Then maybe your next level will now be, okay, how do I improve on what they have? And that is where you now start improving on the things that was there before. So now one of my experience is knowing that for every meeting there will always be an update for you to change something. There will always be, especially for people in the consulting side. You always get to meeting and they'll tell you that, oh, I know that we have agreed this last week, but can we do this week? Can we do this week? And you can see how Wale was saying that he needed to go to a client location for 2 weeks just to understand, okay, where is the problem coming from? So sometimes the issue might not be your visualization or reporting. The issue might just be the process by which the communication is. But when you understand the full communication, it's easy for you to go into your visualization mode and visualize and report the things that you do. Can you understand? So, in summary, is that you understanding the KPI of a data project, understand what they are looking for, then you try to build what they are looking for. After that, you always open up for reviews and updates. Then also make sure that depending on where you are sitting, either you are sitting in an in-house or consulting, always know that there is a framework or there is a time frame of what you need to do something. So when you understand the time frame, it's easy for you to finish up what you need to do. But reporting and visualization is cool. It makes you dig deep. Sometimes it even makes you think like a developer, because at the end of the day, you might want to be able to build this report into a dashboard, from dashboard into an app. And if you are building into an app, you have to think like a developer, because they need to scroll or click, and it takes them to where they need to belong. So all these things are things that you need to look at when you are doing your visualization and also your reporting. What are the rules of visualization? I remember when I and Wale were still together at the same office, there is visualization rules that we follow then. Wale, you are the one that will have to remind me. I've forgotten that those rules. Where we need to start thinking about your bar chart. Your bar chart has to have a size. You have to have a size. You have to be able to understand how to do some. Um, you don't need to, if, because you say product by revenue doesn't mean it is only product by revenue that has to be in that chart. You can still add more analysis on that, just only one chart, and before you know, you have 4 stories talking on just only one single chart. All these things are things that you begin to learn with experience when you begin to do more visualization and reporting.
So David, I'm not sure you forget. You kind of mentioned almost everything. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember that there's one word that we used to use though. I think the success. Yeah,
yes,
success.
success story.
So yes, the success model. So there's something about success. I can't remember what each word means, but I just know that definitely you have, there are some things that you have to follow through when doing a project, and you have to follow the success framework.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, David. I've seen that no matter how much analysis is good, how you're able to visualize and then present it out to those who are expecting it really matters. And one key thing you mentioned is the fact that you have to get a scope of the audience as to what exactly you're building and what they're expecting, and then that should guide you along in your visualization and then in your reporting. Thank you so much. So, as regards what you were saying, Dewale, sorry, this next question is for you. And We know that constantly we have to stay up to date on new trends. And the question is, how do you keep yourself up to date on the new tool and technique in data analysis?
Oh, I think that's very key, and this is what I usually tell a lot of people when I meet them, that learning can never finish. We all need to always learn. You can't say, okay, you've reached some comfortable stage and you feel that you can't learn anymore. You should never get to that stage where you started feeling that you can't learn anymore. Even for me, that I don't usually do much of technical thing again. I have most of my teams that I lead now. I still kind of learn every day. I can't say, okay, so Wale, you don't do much of technicals again. You are in a managerial role. Then you don't stop learning. You stop learning. I can't stop learning. So the way I do this is that for us in the organization that I am right now, we have a particular time that we specify for learning. Like every Wednesday from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, you have to learn something new. It's just standard. You have to learn something new every single Wednesday from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You have to learn something new. And for me, since I know I'm in the data analytics space, I need to learn things related to data analytics. If I'm going online, I'm just scrolling on the streets of LinkedIn and I saw some amazing content, I will stay there and watch it for almost 1 hour, right? I will need to make sure that I stay updated on these two that I'm using. Every single update that come out in Power BI every single month, I put on a notification. Immediately the update is out, I'll watch it. Right. And not just only on Power BI, for data analysis, Microsoft started extending this Power BI of 18. They started moving everything to cloud, right? And that is why they've brought this data model to Power BI service now. That is why they've been telling us about Azure, that we need to move to Azure. There's Azure Synapse and all that. When Azure Synapse came, I didn't know anything about it, but I decided to say, okay, let me learn this because I don't know when I will need it. Same thing as Azure SQL Server. So I started learning all these things because I know I need to keep myself updated. Another thing that also helped me as well is I'm a Microsoft MVP. So being an MVP, you kind of have as early access, right? Let me say early access to testing Microsoft products, understanding Microsoft products, and kind of see what is coming in Microsoft. So that is how I stay updated.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm really a big advocate of learning on demand, but I think that in this space, it's necessary that you keep up to date with these technologies as they come out. As you said, people look up to you as a source of authority on Microsoft products, especially in data analysis, which is necessary to always keep on board. Thank you for sharing. Jafflet,
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf. So I have one question for you in the comment section, and
Okay, I think Jafflet network. I can't hear Jafflet. Yeah, but I can see the question. This
yes, yes,
person,
yes.
the person said, I'm a beginner. I am suffering on how to build connections with other data analytics, like joining a WhatsApp group that will be updating me on the
it's
current news about data analytics. Okay, I think what I would just tell the person is this, right? I don't know which location you are joining us from or wherever you are looking at from, but I can tell you that people in the community are doing amazing work in terms of how you can build a connection to other data. We have a lot of community here in Lagos alone, or let me say in Nigeria alone. We have a Nigeria data platform community. We have a Power BI community. We have Data First. David Abu is the one of the lead
Hi, sorry.
join that event. Oh, sorry, a break. You can hear me now, right?
Yes, yes, go
So
ahead.
I'm saying that that data first event, almost everybody from Africa joined the event. So this is where you can meet a lot of like-minded analysts. And if you're in a location that is different from we have a power platform community in almost each location. We just concluded the global power platform, which happened in Abuja, Lagos State, or your state, Port Harcourt, and the like. So wherever location you are, let us know. We can guide you to a community you can join that can help you stay updated.
All right, so thank you. You mentioned Data First Africa, and I recall that I was at Data First Africa last year.
Mhm.
I actually met you there physically. and that was when I actually came to hear of Metabase for the first time. So I don't know, on the Data First Africa website, is there a way they can join the Data First Africa community from there, or could you provide any further help to this person?
I'll allow David Abu to answer that. Is David still here?
Okay, okay. Hi, David.
Yeah, so one thing there is that there's so many data, like Adewale said, there's so many data community. So if you're trying to join data community, just search on Twitter or LinkedIn for data community Africa. Then you can pick it up from there. Just search it for an handle called Data Community Africa or Data First Africa, then you're going to see it. Then you can tweet at that handle. Then you will pick it up from there.
All right, thank you so much, David. I hope that answers your question. Too. So yeah, to learn more about this analysis, Microsoft provides free tools and resources that you could use to get started. And you could use the link in the slide to get started, continue your career on that analysis. Thank you so much for being here. And we would also want to hear from your feedback to know how we could better improve in hosting Microsoft Reactor events. So if you could help us with filling out the survey on the link on the slide, we would really appreciate that. So thank you so much, everyone. Mr. David, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to see you again. And Mr. Yusuf, thank you for being here.
I don't know if you can put the link on the chat as well so that people can click on the link, the Learn Data Analysis link. Yeah.
I think Japheth will take care of that.
Thank you, everyone. David, nice to be on the call with you again. I think it's been a while we've been on the call like this together, David.
Thanks. Yeah, true. Same guy.